like, seen like what Pega is, we have seen, okay, it's a BPM, like, business process management tool, where in which we can design all our processes and everything. And as part of that, what we are doing as part of our learning, we are also creating one process, which is called as a loan process, where in which a customer, of a bank, like, they can apply for a loan, and then they have to fill all this information. Once they enter all this information, then loan application will go to that bank representative, and based on all the details of the customer, I mean, the bank representative might can decide whether yes, he's approved, I mean, the loan is he eligible or not. And then when then after that, we'll get email notification to the customer saying that yes, like, your loan has been approved or rejected, like, based on the proper appropriate action, taken by the bank representative. And then we have steps, like, we have stages we have stages, like, we have like primary stages and the alternate stages. In the primary stages, we have the happy path scenario, which we configure. And whereas in the alternate stages, we have like unhappy path, like, something, let's say, deviating from some exceptions has occurred, and that, then you have to deviate, from the happy path. Then, you can just go ahead with that unhappy path. So, and then if you want to configure all the UIs and everything, so we have seen, like, entire cycle, like, how this case type, flow action, sections, and properties are related to each other. Right. I mean, if you directly create so all the fields, whatever the fields that you have to show it on the UI. For all the fields, you have to create properties rule in the Pega. And that you have to refer it in a section, then section refer it in a flow action, then the flow action comes in a flow, and then the flow comes in a case type. Okay, and then all the rules we created inside the rule set version. So we have one rule set, and then each rule set will have versions, and we start the version with O1, 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 or 01, 01, 01, whatever that you can call it, and then. And then, once that we have deployed it, then we create a new version, like, let's say, for example, for issues like defect fixing, or let's say next sprint development and all these things. So mostly as a best practice, as a best practice, what you have to do is, like, not everyone do it, but as a best practice, before creating a new version, let's say, for example, sprint one, has been done and you have deployed to that higher environment, let's say UAT. So just don't, and for the sprint two development, don't create O1, O1, O2. For the sprint two development, just skip few of the versions. For example, let's say for O1, O1, and O5, and just create this one, like, for sprint two, like, so let's say sprint two, and then this is for sprint one. Okay, so because, like, so rest are like, 2, 3, 4, like, those versions basically, like, you can just save as keep it for the exceptions, for example, because we cannot guarantee that, right? I mean, whatever that we have deployed, I mean, it will be a bug free. I mean, so if any bugs is there or any issues are there, we can easily be able to fix it in 2, 3, 4 versions basically. So that is something, we do it as a best practice. Okay, so again, depends upon your project lead, how he decide the versions and all these things, differs. So, and then this O1, 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 and that first O1 is called as a major, and the second one is called as a minor, and then its third one is called as a patch. So we just, increase the patch versions, one by one, and increment it basically. And then we have seen inheritance. In Pega, we have two types of inheritance. One is a pattern, and another one is a directed. So the first rule, like, whenever the Pega has to find a rule, the Pega takes a pattern path, and then after that, once the Pega has taken the pattern path and the Pega is not able to find the rule, then the Pega will take the directed path. The Pega will say, okay, in the class rule, okay, what is the directed class for that particular class? If the direct, and then the Pega goes there, and after that, again, it start taking the pattern path. So like that, so it Pega try to find the rule, so till the topmost class, it reaches to the topmost class, and which is in our case, which is the at the rate base class, and then you can just see the inheritance, by doing the right click on that any class, and you can see the inheritance path and all the stuff. And then in the last session, we have discussed about validations, like the most important part of any application, because without an validation rule, you can't say that my application is perfect, because let's say we have designed an application, look and feel is excellent, and everything is I mean everything is great. But let's say in the name I'm entering 123, in email ID I'm entering 456, and in the phone number I'm entering Pankaj, or something I'm entering it, and wrong date I'm submitting it. I mean that doesn't make that doesn't make a good application basically. So something, we have to make sure that the user has to enter all the required fields, and also that whatever that user is entering in that required fields, user has to enter those details properly. For example, let's say like I've entered the name is mandatory. Let's say first name is mandatory, so I have to enter the name, but I have to enter it properly. Like it should be a text, and phone number, if I'm entering it, it should be number, and all these things. So that all we can just do a validation. And date of birth, let's say if we have a validation of date of birth, so the date of birth also we can validate it, saying that okay, so it should not be a future date, I mean it should be a past date, like so I cannot enter my date of birth is 16 February 2023 again, which is wrong. Right. So all those things we can do it. So that validation we can do it in the two ways. Again, the client side validation, then we have a server side validation. So these terms are not very much specific to Pega. I mean, in other technologies also, you can just listen to this client side validation, server side validation. So as part of the client side validation, Pega, what we have is that required, like how that we can make it to each field required. I mean, each field means whatever the fields are required, then we can just select it as a required. And then another rule that we have is edit validate rule. I mean, which I have shown you, right? I mean, Pega has provided many edit validate rule, which you can also create it. But the only thing is that, for the Java expertise is needed. Like, you have to be a good Java. You should have a Java knowledge, before you create this edit validate rule, because you have no other option. As soon as you create this rule, the Pega will ask you to write a Java code. Okay, like that. So and then we have one more, which is called as a validated rule. So don't get confused between edit validated rule and a validated rule. Again, like, as I said, right, I mean, which is very, like, NTV questions, like, for example, page list, difference between page list, page group, and what is the difference between edit validated rule and validated rule, and where can we refer it, So we can refer this validated rule in the flow action, basically. Okay, I mean, one of the places flow action, not like, only we can be, refer so there are many places like, we can refer validated rule. The one of the place we have seen is the flow action. And then edit validated rule also, we can just refer it in the validation rule. I mean, right? So which we have seen in the last session, like that. Okay. So that is it till now. Like, we have seen this, like, and then we have seen like page list, page group, and single page. Like, we have created three types of properties. Again, like, we have seen the significance why we have to create, and depending upon your requirement, you have to decide whether, like, you have to create a single page or page list or a page group. So it is not that, page list is a good practice or page group is a good practice. Like, it is not like that. So all that you have to create it. I mean, you have to just look into the requirement, and after that, you can decide whether basically in that case single page will work, or page list will work, or page group will work. Like that. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. So now what we were learning is like a load process, right? This we have designed it. Okay. So now, okay. So today we will see about routing. Okay, so anyone knows about routing? Uh, or this term routing before? Okay. Okay. So routing is something like, for example, let's like I say again, a simple example. Let's say, for example, let's say a leave example, right? So now let's say I've applied for a leave, and let's say then, let's say like, with let's say you are my manager, right? So now who then again, like, my leave application will go to you, right? I mean, now it's not that, I'll apply for a leave and then I'll only approve or reject my leave application, right? I mean, it will not happen like that. So So it's like that, so that is, in that case we have to, like, and in every process basically, right, or whatever the process that you have it, and each of the process, like, any phase, like, of that particular process, will be done by multiple people, right, and there will be multiple people involved in your any process. For example, let's say in your leave application, like, your employee will get involved, then your manager will get involved, and also let's say you're applying for, let's say, more than 10 days of leave, which is like not in manager's hand, so to say, in that case, like, senior managers can also be involved, like, you have to take a, let's say, senior manager will also, be involved there, like that. So depending upon, like, your process, there can be multiple actors can involve in your process, right? So in that case, what we do is we just route that work to the specific person, the correct person, right? So that is called as a routing. Okay, that name itself suggesting, right? I mean, routing means routing the work to the specific person. I mean, wherever that, the specific person fits in, we have to route the task to that specific person. Okay, so now in our case, basically, now in our case, basically, like, we can see here, so we have three stages. Of course, in the third stage, I mean, it's automation step, so no one will work on it. But in the second one, I mean, the second stage and this step, basically, this here, this should not be routed to me, right? I mean, now, for example, let's say if I'll run the process now. Okay, so let's say I'll fill all my details. And now if I'll just continue, and then, okay, so now you can see here, I mean, this loan application has been routed to me. And how can I say that it has routed to me? And you can see that this is a step name, and then you can see I'm keeping a cursor on this, right? Initials. I mean, it has routed to me, and which is, so of course that, right, this is not a good process, right? I mean, this application should not be routed to me. This has to be routed to that appropriate person, who, like, appropriate bank person, like, who will be looking into my application. That has to route this. So this assignment basically, or this step, has to be routed to that particular person, not to me. Okay, so that is something called as assignment. So this one, I know. So how to do a routing? So that we will see it in today's session. So routing, basically, we can do it in two. Routing, can be done in two ways. Like, either we can route the task to a person. I mean, directly we can route the task to a person, saying that, let's say, if I know my manager name, okay, I know it's that XYZ person, like, he's my manager, then I can route directly the task to him. And then, or else, like, we can route the task to multiple people. Multiple people means, like, you know, okay, so this is called as a work queue in Pega, and this is called as a work list. Okay, so now that, so you can route your work either to a work list or to a work queue. I mean, work queue means, not, you're not deciding, or you're not basically, like, for example, let's say you have applied for an internet connection. Okay, so now internet connection, you have applied for it. So what will you do is, like, so you'll just, as soon as you applied it, so your request will not go to a specific person, right? I mean, because in, let's say, Geo, like, in you have applied to Geo, you want Geo internet, and then you went to the Geo portal, and then you have raised the complaint. I mean, not complaint, let's say, you have raised the request for the new connection. And then, so as soon as you submit that request, so that request, so in the Geo company, right, it's not like only one engineer or that one internet provider will be working, I mean, sitting, right? I mean, there will be like 100 or 200 people, will, that engineers, was be sitting there. So we cannot directly say that, okay, like, Pankaj is a guy, like, will route the task to him. I mean, there can be Pankaj XYZ, like, there can be many things. People, like, will be there. So in that case, basically what we'll do is we'll route the work to the work queue. And then work queue is nothing but, like, kind of a bucket, like, just imagine that, for example, let's say you're in a college, I mean, so, or let's say complaint box. Okay, like, for example, let's say well, let's say, like, I'm saying that, okay, like, this is a complaint box. So, just put all your all your complaints, to this complaint box basically. So someone can say, okay, like, our transportation is not good, or someone can say, okay, the chairs are not good, tables are not good, that the infrastructure, canteen is not good, I mean the food is not good, like, I mean anything, like, so people can come up with many complaints and all these things. So what we are doing, we are just writing down our complaint, and we are just putting it in the complaint box, but we are not giving that complaint to any specific person, right? So that is called as a work queue. I mean, you're routing the task to a work queue, kind of a bucket kind of a thing. You're just putting it to that, like, then their appropriate person, let's say, like, there is a committee of 20, 30 people, like, they are the responsible people, like, to look into all the complaints. So after, after, let's say, 1 week, like, they will just take the box, and then one by one they will just open that slip, like, and they'll start reading it, and they'll start working on it basically. So that you can imagine it, something, you can just take that as example, like, work queue means not routing the task to a specific person. I mean, you're routing the task to a queue basically, right? I mean, the name also suggests, right, work queue. Or in the older version, you used to call it as a work basket. So in the newer version, Pega started this call as a P work queue, but the meaning is the same. So if you're in a project, so Pega project, some people, like, who are working from the older version, so they might consider the work basket. So no, so don't get confused. So work queue and work basket both are same. Okay, so let's say here in this also name suggests, right, basket, like, you're putting the work inside the basket, you're not routing it to a specific person. Okay, so like that. So work list means if I know the person, let's say I know my manager name is Shweta, so I'll directly route it to the Shweta, like that. So I'm not saying that, okay, I'm routing it to Vidya Shweta, like that. So something like that. So it's something like that. So that's called as work list. So if you're directly routing it to that your person, like, we know, okay, like, he is the only person, like, who will be doing my task. So I'll directly route the task to that particular person. That's it. So that is called as a work list. So what will happen is, as soon as the work has been assigned it to me, so that work particular, like, will come to my work list. So what will happen is I can see my work. So now, for example, let's say, okay, so now, for example, okay, so now I can see my work list, right? So these are the approvals will come to me. I can say that, okay, so now that, as soon as I log into the application, so I can see all the work that I have to do it. So now that is something like, if any work directly has been assigned it to me, I can see it in my work list, right? I mean, because there's a work list, what work basically that I have to do it. But if the work has been routed to the work queue, that's something like, it's something not, it doesn't mean that the work has been routed to me. But now if my manager will say that, okay, like, Pankaj, like, you have to work on that. For example, let's say after the work queue, like, we have routed, like, routed the task related to related to, let's say, education loan, and then we have, let's say, personal loan, then we have like home loan. So now, all the applications, let's say, loan application will go to this work queue. We have to create one more rule, which is called as a work queue or a work basket. And then the manager will come in the morning, let's say 9 a.m. He'll come up and he will say that, okay, like, now that I have 10 applications, like, of different types. Two application is for educational, and then let's say six application is for the personal loan, and another two application is for a home loan. And then the this manager knows that, okay, education loan expert is, let's say, let's say, like, Shweta is like, expert for education loan, and then the personal loan matter is Vidya, and then and then home loan matter is, let's say, Aarti. So now he can just, route the task to you, and appropriate to your work list basically. Okay, so that is something, so this is the theoretical. I'll show you the practically too, like, how that we can do it. I mean, but this is the only two ways basically we can route the task. Is we create, I mean, again, that is one of our topic, which is called as a portals. Okay, so what we do is, and yeah, your question, that one is clear. So like, for example, let's say, in like, what we do is, like, we'll just design employee portal, like, then let's say if the manager is there, for the manager, we design another portal. Then we have dev portal, like, for developers, we have dev portal. For example, developers, we show this kind of a Pega gives this kind of a screen where we can develop and everything. For end users, basically, we create this kind of a portal where in which he can only create, like, he can go to the reports and all these things. I mean, for example, the managers, he can just go to, okay, like where my business is going. Let's say he's a manager. I mean, then he wants to see it, okay, how many loan applications are coming, like, in our bank, like, whether our sales is going down or up and all these things. So for each role, like, for each kind of a role, for example, let's say I have two managers. So two managers can have a common, and the both of the managers are for the same department. Then we can just have the same portals for both of them, and then let's say if it's a director level, like, of course, the director level will have some different portals that screens we have to show. So that is something, we show a different screen, portals to them. And again, and we create the credentials also, like, it's not that, they will be logging in to this and then they will run the process like this. So in the real time, basically, we have the portals, and then from here itself, they will be creating all the leave application, loan application, or any process, any approval is there, so they will just approve it from here itself, like, from the home they will see it, all those things. So, but yeah, I mean, each and every each and every actors or person, like, who will be accessing your Pega application should have the username and password, like that. So that is it. So now that, why I'm able to access each and everything, because I am a developer. So what for the developers, what we give is, like, we give the topmost role, so that, even if this task does not assign it to me, like, I can open it up and fix it. But in the real time, we create a different access, basically, one access for manager, like, who can even work on some other task, and one access for employee, like, I mean, so that, employee means, like, only limited privileges or access that we can give them, like, that they cannot work, they cannot see basically what other employees is doing, and they can only work on their work, basically. So like that, so different accesses, that access we give it, and all these things. So, oh, okay. So now we'll see, like, how can we route it. So now we have understood the theoretically, but now we'll see practically too. Okay. So now what we do is, so we'll just go to our process, and I'll open a flow or a process. Okay, now then this assignment, right? This is the task, or no, or this is called assignment, right? So this assignment, if we have to route it to any person and all these things, what you have to do is just double click on the assignment shape, and then you can see here by default. I mean, if you see here, I mean, it says routing. And then the routing, like, by default, the Pega says, okay, do I have to route it to the current operator? Current operator means, let's say, like, I am the current operator, right? That is the reason this assignment is getting routed to me, right? So that is the reason it is assigning to me. So as soon as I'm coming to the screen, by default now as current operator, that is the reason it is assigning to me. And then after that, the second option is operator. I mean, for example, let's say if I know it, okay, like, I have to route it to my manager only, someone, like, let's say, this guy only. So what will happen is, every time whenever this case will come, this assignment will be routed to this person, and this and this, again, this is a work list, that this is a work list, right? Directly it will go to this person's work list. And then there is another option is work queue, which we have talked about, right? I mean, just work queue. Work queue means you have to create one more work queue. I mean, let's see, like, we'll see it again, how to create a work queue and all that stuff. And then we have a custom means, let's say, I mean, you have to, like, based on something, like, based on some logic, something, you have to write your own code and everything, and then, customize it, routing the process. For example, let's say you want to route it, sequentially and all these things. For example, let's say, you want to route, for example, we four of us are working, like, say, like, Pankaj, and, Shweta, then Aarti, then Vidya, like, we four of us working in the same department. Let's say there are 5 tasks has been assigned to me, and then for Shweta, let's say there are 4 tasks, and then, for Aarti, it's, let's say, 6 tasks, and then, for Vidya, let's say it's a uh, 3 tasks. So now what should happen is, like, as soon as I work comes. So now if we want to customize the routing, like, only the person who has less task, that task should route it to that particular person. Let's say Vidya has a less task. So if the work comes, then, it will route it to the Vidya. So like that. So something if you want to customize it, and also like, before routing, you want to check whether Vidya is available or not. Of course, right? Or four of us, like, are available or not. Let's say we can just say that, I'm in our operator ID. you If you go to the work tab, so you can see here there is something called as a schedule absences, like, so as I said, right, each operator, will have their own operator ID. So basically what we can do is, like, if you say that, okay, I'm unavailable, let's say I'm saying that, okay, I'm going on leave from Thursday, sorry, from today to Friday, let's say I'm taking leave for 3 days. So before routing it, like, so let's say in the custom means, like, before routing, so you want to see whether that particular person is available or not, for that particular time period. If not, then don't route to then don't route the task to Pankaj, route the task to other team members, like that. So something, that is called as a custom. So in the custom also, all that you do is, like, you write some customized logic, but you route it to either to a work list or to either to a work basket, like that. For example, let's say none of us are working. I mean, on that day, let's say the work has been routed to us, but on that day is a holiday, an Indian holiday, like, let's say it's the 26th of January, Republic Day. So of course no one will come to the office, right? So now for all of us it will show absent, 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 absent. And then what will happen is that at that time we can route the tasks. So of course we cannot say to the customer, right, I mean, today is a holiday, so submit the application tomorrow. That is not a good experience, right? So of course we'll take the request, the customer's request, will take it. All that we'll do is we'll have one sample of dummy, like, work queue, work basket will have it. So there we'll route the task, and then after, to let's say, like, the next event will come, that our manager can decide, okay, like, who can work on that particular task, and he can select that the best person, like, among four of us, that who can take up that particular task. Or let's say based on the task allocation, let's say if he thinks that, okay, like, or like, Shweta, they are busy, like Pankaj is the only person, like, doesn't have work, then he can route the task to me, like that. Okay, so that is something we'll do it at the custom. And the use business logic, I mean, in the business logic again, like, we can just design it. For example, let's say, like, we can for example, let's say for example, let's say we have, let's say, like, we have three types of loans, right? Educational, home loan, personal loan. So in that case, let's say we can decide it, okay, like, if it's a educational loan, then route it to Shweta. If it's a personal loan, route it to Vidya. If it's a home loan, route it to Aarti, like that. So that is something, we can do it. You use business logic, kind of a thing. That is what. So and then or let's say, like, if it's something else, let's say there is another type of a loan which we have recently introduced, and there is no specific person that who can work on it, then we can route it to a work queue. So that is also that, we can do it, in the use business logic. So these are the four types the Pega has provided. Depending upon your requirement, we decide whether which suits the best, basically. Okay, so now, let's start from the operator first. And for the operator, what I'll do is, like, I'll just create one and then in the operator also, you can see that, we can route the task to either to a directly username or to a participant. Participant means, like, any of the actors that who's involved, and the reporting manager. I mean, if I keep the reporting manager, then what will happen is this task will route it to my reporting manager. And then how the Pega will know who is my reporting manager? So that is again depending upon your operator ID. So if you go to the work tab of your operator ID, and then here you can see something called as reports to, right? I mean, it's a blank. So now I can, let me just create one more operator as a loan LA manager. It's a loan application manager. Okay, so now I've just created it. So now let's imagine he's my manager, and then I'll update my operator ID with that. Okay, and now I have updated my operator ID. So for the better, I'll just log off and log in so that my operator ID will get refreshed and everything will be there. Okay, so now let's say if I'll create a new loan process. Okay, and let me just check whether did I save that flow or not. No, no, I didn't save it. Okay, so now what I'll do is operator and reporting manager. Submit this and save it. Okay, so it got saved. So now let me okay, we'll fill the details. Okay, so now you can see here, now that the screen approve reject that has been routed to that LA manager, which I have given just now. Yeah, right? I mean, it has routed to that manager. So now that this manager, like once he logs in, then he can be able to see one request from my side, saying that, okay, Pankaj has the same in his work list, he can be able to see it. And as I said, I mean, as I said, so as a developer, we give ourselves as a topmost access. That is the reason I can see the go button here. That go button means I can still that has been routed to my manager, but for I can just click on go, and then I can even submit it with that uh, with this approve or reject. But in the real time what happens is in the real time that end user or employee, let's say I'm a customer or I'm an employee, like that. So what we do is we don't show this go button, or we disable the go button, based on the rules and everything. So like that, so the only thing is that we do is either we can show that, or on the top we can show that a message that okay, so your request has been routed successfully to the customer, to the appropriate person and all the stuff, like that, so in the backend. But we can do that, or else if we have to show this also, all these things, but we don't give this go button to that end users, because that will not make any sense, right? Otherwise, I mean, let's say I am only apply the apply for the process, and I can everyone will approve their own applications like that, or own requests basically. So I like that, so this is how, so this is a work list kind of a routing, this is something, we have done it kind of a work list. That means directly, I know the person, I have directly routed the task to that particular person's work list. Then now we have a work queue. For the work queue, before doing the work queue, we have to create one rule which is called as a work queue. Okay, so now that comes under organization category. So here it is. So now if you see here, so if you do, this is a work queue. So now just redo right click and create. And now let's say loan application work queue, WQ. Okay, I'm just creating it and then create it open. And then we can give the organization name here. So the organization name is our STA, like let's say for the STA bank, we are doing it, and then the division and unit. Okay, and that's it. Nothing else. Oh, you have to do it, and they'll save it. Okay, so now once you have created it, so then now again we'll go to the flow, and now in the flow, what I'll do is instead of operator, I'll just change this to a work queue, and I'll select the work queue. So again, you can see that there is a blue bar, right? So that means there will be something in the drop down. So if you press the down arrow key, the Pega will show you all the work queue, that is applicable. So now just type it, which one you have created, loan application. Yeah, the last one. This is the one that you have created it, and just submit this and save the flow. Okay, so now the next time if the person is applying for a loan. So you can see here that now, I mean, everything remains the same, like, nothing changed. The only thing is that you can see here, this has been routed to the work queue. I mean, we haven't routed to a specific person. All that we have done is we have put this task or placed this task to a specific work queue or the basket, basically. So now the next time whoever has access, like, to whoever has the access to the, let's say the manager, has access to this work queue. So now he will just, when he'll come in the morning, let's say 9 a.m. and all those things, or 10 a.m., whatever. So he will just look into all the work queue items, like, okay, we have this, and then he can distribute the task. Like, say, okay, home loan matter. Okay, sure, that you take it. Like, home educate personal loan matter, you take it. Like, and then, you take it. A particular task that, he can divide it basically, like, depending upon the skill set, he can decide it. So that is something, we have it, like, the look, I mean, the work queue or a work basket, basically, and how we route it, so all the assignments basically, like, that we divide it, like, or we route it to a work list or to a work queue. So I'm not going to the other option, which is called as a business logic, because here, we have to create a decision tree. So decision tree, I have not yet covered. So I'll come to this later, because, once we cover the decision topic, I'll show you, like, how, where basically, our all these assignments, right? So how, where this, will get stored, where basically it will create instance of which class, you know, uh, like that. So, yep. So now we know it, right? I mean, the difference between a work list and a work basket. Again, a very important question. The interviewer can ask, basically, right? So what's the difference between how the routing can happen? And another favorite question which they ask is, like, which variable, like, we store the work list and where we store the work basket, basically. Okay, so now that is something, also, as soon as, in Pega we have, this is a work class, right? I mean, so this is that, like, BOA dash loan application, a loan application dash work. So this is a work class. In a similar way, and the account opening, loan application, like, all these things are the work class. In the similar way, we have many out of the box classes too. So one of the classes is sign dash work list. Okay, like, this is the one. Okay, and I'll fill this. And then there is another class which is called as a sign dash work basket. Okay, so you can see here. So I'll fill this class too. So so now, whenever, like, so now, I'll come to this class. So whenever we create any new case, right? I mean, whenever we create a new case, so what is happening? So Pega is creating an instance of that particular class. For example, this is a loan application, right? So now the Pega will create an instance of this loan application. So you can see here, these till now, these many instances we have created, or these many cases we have created, like that. So every work object basically, like, are divided into assignments, multiple assignments. Right. So for example, let's say, like, in our case, like, what all this assignment is, something kind of like an assignment is, again, the work itself is, right? Assignment means, like, something that we have to work on, like, in colleges at schools, we used to get, right, assignments that, which we have to do it. So assignments is something, we, that, this means that, someone, has to work on it, and then the Pega will stop. Like, for example, let's say I'm creating, like, here, right? I mean, the Pega didn't go there, right? I mean, it's still in the approval step, because we have assignment shape there. And then if I'll continue it, and then unless and until the user comes there and performs some action on that assignment, the process will never ever proceed. Like, the process will remain the same. Let's say I have not done anything, and I again have canceled it, and I don't close this one. So the Pega will not go to that email notification stage. Okay, so now I'll approve it and now I'll submit this. So you can see here the Pega in the email notification also we have one step, right? I mean, if I'll open it here, we have one step. So the Pega didn't stop here. Why? Because this is not an assignment sheet. This is an email notification automation sheet, where the human interaction is not needed. But whereas like for these, like, now in this case, you can see that where one, two, three, like, all this green color clipboard shape, right? So those are called assignment shapes, where in which that you're like, for example, let's say I'm applying it. So I'm creating a new case. So you can see here the Pega will not go to that next screen unless and until the user takes some appropriate action on this assignment. Okay. So like that. So that is something, we have, this is called as assignment. So now we have work objects. The work objects are nothing but all the cases that we are creating, this case. And the one work object can have multiple assignments. Okay. One work object, can have multiple uh, assignments. And these assignments, basically, we can route it to the appropriate person. For example, we can say that, okay, these two assignment, has to be done by that customer, because of course, right, these two forms are only related to the customer. Like, he only has to enter the personal details and he only has to enter the loan details. And this third one, I mean, the third assignment has to be done by a manager or a work queue person, like that. So either we can route it to the work queue or all these things. So multiple, so we can route this assignments to the multiple people, and then assignments will get stored in the appropriate class depending upon where that you have routed it to. For example, let's say, like, the work object gets stored in this class only, like, I mean, this here only, like, we'll create an instance of this. But whereas assignment instances will get created depending upon where that you have routed to. For example, in our case, where have we routed to? Like, we have routed to the work queue, right? So now that whenever you create a case, if you go here, like, to submit this screen. Okay, so whenever I've submitted this, so now this assignment has gone, right? So now what Pega will do it in the backend, the Pega will create an instance of assign dash work basket class. Why? Because that assignment has been, because we have routed the assignment to the work queue. So now if I open this class, you can see here there is one assignment, got created, BOA dash, or let's say like L dash 17010, and you can see here the same work object, like, same case, L dash 17010. Okay, like that. So you can, and it is an approval, and the flow name is approval flow, and then you can see here and who has created it, Pankaj, like here, and what date it has been created, and either we have routed to a work queue. Okay, the work queue we have routed to, and the work queue name is loan application work queue, and the task label in what assignment label that what we have given, like that, so that is something, so that will get created in the similar way. And which table, basically, like, it will get stored. So all that, you can have to open that particular class, I mean, assign dash work class, sorry, work basket class. And then if you open the test connection, so you can see here the table name is this. So all that assignments that I've shown just now, like, will store under this table, PC assign work list table. So now, like, let's talk about work queue. Let me know, okay, if it's causing like confusion and all the stuff. So work queue, like, are the, like, are like, are the instances of uh, assign dash work basket class, and these instances are stored in this PC assign work basket table. Okay, and like that. So we don't create this table, already the Pega gives all these tables, class, and everything. Okay, so like that. So, and then okay, like that. So now, same we have same, like, we can route that assignment to the work queue, sorry, work list as well, right? So now we'll see the work list also. So okay, so now what we'll do is in this process, okay, I'll make it to operator, and the operator I'll select the reporting manager. That means I'm routing it to the work list. So I'll save it up, and then I'll close everything, and then, I'll create a new case. Okay, I'll quickly fill some details. Okay, so now I have routed it to work list. Okay, so now let's say for this 17001, if I try to search in this class, right, assign dash work list class, just click on that work basket class, you won't be able to find it. Like, only we have till only till, like, 17010, only till 10 that we have it, not the 11 that we have it. Why? Because this time we have routed the assignment to the work basket, not to the work list. Okay, so now if I'll click on the work list class, so here you can able to find it, right? I mean, L dash 17011. Okay, and then you can see the flow name, who has created it, and operator ID, whom it has been routed to, LA manager, and the assignment label. What is assignment label? Assignment label is nothing but, like, that is a label that we give here. This one, that is. If you click on it, this label basically, what is a task, label. So what is that, task label, like that. So all these things, right? So again, like, the work list are the, okay, instances of assign dash work list. So this is again, like, almost like, in the 99%, like, interview, like, the ask this question, like, of course, the routing. If you, as soon as you say, okay, the routing has been, we can do the routing in work list and the work queue, the next question is, like, okay, like, where the work list gets stored and where the work queues are get stored, which table are this, and also, they are the instances of which class basically, so now, like, in the work list, we have seen that are the instances of assign dash work list class, and these instances are stored in, okay, in which table? So now we just symbol, like, go to that class, okay, expand this assign dash work list, and what is this admin? Open this class, go bottom, and then click on the test connection, and then you can see here, this is the table name, PC assign work list. Okay, table here. So okay, so this is the two things, like, just I wanted to convey that, like, so now so first what we have learned today is, like, of course we can do a routing. Okay, routing can be done in two ways basically. One is the work list or to a work basket, and then as soon as we have done it, as soon as we have routed to the work list, so the Pega will create one instance of this class. Okay, and then and also not only create an instance of this class, but also stores this instance also, like, in a table which is called as a PC assign work list table. And then the work queue also gets stored in this class, like, of course, for the work queue are the instances of assign dash work basket class, and then and these instances are stored in the PC assign till PCSN is same. Only thing the difference is work list gets stored in the work list table, and then the work basket stored in the work basket table. Okay, so don't say that work basket table, work list table. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, right? And let's say if someone asks you, so, just say PC assign work list. Okay, so you have to say that, and then there are the instances of assign dash work list class and assign dash work basket class. Okay, like that. So this is something we have it. So for example, let's say for now, because in the same server I have created many applications, right? So that's why I'm able to see it. But now, I mean, if
Okay.
you have got different servers in that application, in that, you have, let's say, whatever that particular server that you have it, you can be able to see it. This class will never ever change. This assign dash
Okay.
and assign will remain the same. So, and this is out of the box behavior basically. Like, out of the box behavior means, like, as soon as we are routing it to the work basket, so this assignment basically, like, the Pega has a specific mechanism saving into this class only, like, so this class. So only work class can different. I mean, this work class, the only work class can be, will be depending upon your business and everything. But these classes, like assignment, these two classes will never ever change. This will be common same, and the table name also will remain the same. So what
Be
happens
the
is,
same.
we create, like, like, for example, loan process, right? So all these are getting stored in a table. So again, if you want to know that, okay, in which table, so now if you go to this class, so here in the test connection, so this is the table basically, so this is the table where in which, paste it here. So this is the table, where in which all the cases that we are creating are getting stored in this table. Like, and again, we can just, so this class, because this is a work class, right? I mean, this we have created it. So now the depending upon, like, let's say for example, you can create a new class and you can map it to this work class. Okay, so now that you can do it, but by default, the Pega creates its own table where now that our all these instances are getting stored, like which I have shown you just now. So whatever, like instances, right, and we have it, right, all this data, that whatever that we are filling in, like first name, last name, and all these things. So basically, by default, the Pega storing it inside this table, so that because let's say I, as a customer, I want to know that okay, in the last 10 years, how many times that I have applied for a loan, or let's say in the Make My Trip or Book My Show or IRCTC, right? I mean, whenever we book a ticket, I mean, it gets saved, right? So if I want to know that, okay, in the last 1 month, how much I have traveled, so that will come from the history, from the table, my history table, right? So that is the reason, like, or whatever the cases we create, the Pega stores it into their respective class instances. Of course, we create instances, but all these instances, Pega stores it into the table. So now if you want to know it, okay, in which table, you're confused. So simply what you do is, let's say you are creating a loan process, right? So simply open that particular class, and this is a process for anything, for every class. Open it, go down, and just click on the test connection. So this will tell you, okay, this class is mapped to this table. Like, this is a schema, this is a table name, and this is a database name, Pega data. So like that. So if you have a backend access, if you have, let's say, if you want to see it on the select star from this table, so you can be able to view each and everything, basically all the columns and everything. The Pega will display it. This rule, I mean, for this one, like, for this operator ID, this rule set doesn't make any difference basically. So this is
Okay.
something like, where this operator ID, like, this operator ID, belongs to which rule set. That's it, like, belongs to it. But for the rules, whatever we create, like, I mean, for that, the rule set matters the most. So for this one, you can give anything, basically, like, you can give Pega rules, or you can give your rule set, something like that. But that is associate rule set, basically, like, my operator ID is associate to this rule set. That's it. Even if I change it, like, doesn't make it will not harm my uh like, operator ID process and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes what we do is, like, for the performance wise, like, what we do is, so by default now you can see here, like, this class is mapped to this table. And then even if I'll see, even if I'll open the account opening class, right? So uh, and then if I go to the test connection, so Pega has created the same table. It is the same table. Okay. And okay, so you can see the table is same. This is for account opening, and this is for loan application. Okay, so you can see here, like, both are the different class and everything is there, but you can see here, like, the Pega has created this, I mean, Pega has mapped both the class to the same table, like, PC, BOA, no loan application work, and like that. So that is something, like, Pega do it.